The Supreme Court's 9 justices are the final word on America's most complex legal questions. Their decisions can reshape society, but often the court appears divided along ideological lines. Yet when all 9 justices agree, it signals that the law is clear and transcends politics. A unanimous decision sends a powerful message. This is settled law, not a partisan issue. These rare moments build public trust and remind us that some values unite us all. Recent 9-0 rulings have addressed free speech, religious freedom, and equal treatment. They show that even on divisive issues, the court can find common ground. Understanding these cases matters. They directly impact our rights and freedoms. One major unanimous decision from the Supreme Court this term was NRA versus Vullo, a case that put the First Amendment's protections to the test in a modern context. This case asked a fundamental question: how far can government officials go in trying to influence private companies before it crosses the line into unconstitutional censorship? The story began after the tragic Parkland school shooting, when Maria Vullo, New York's top financial regulator, urged banks and insurance companies to reconsider their relationships with the National Rifle Association. Vullo's office sent letters and made public statements, warning that doing business with the NRA could pose reputational risks and hinting at possible regulatory scrutiny. The NRA saw this as more than just advice. They argued that Vullo was using the power of her office to indirectly silence them, pressuring private companies to cut ties, not because of any legal violation, but because of the NRA's controversial speech and advocacy. In their view, this was a form of censorship by proxy, a way for government to punish speech it disagreed with without directly banning it. Vullo, on the other hand, insisted she was simply enforcing insurance laws and warning companies about legitimate business risks. She argued that her actions were within the bounds of her regulatory authority, and that she never ordered anyone to cut ties with the NRA. She just offered guidance. The Supreme Court was faced with a difficult question: when does government persuasion cross the line and become unconstitutional coercion? Is it enough for officials to merely suggest, or does the weight of their office turn suggestions into veiled threats? In a unanimous 9-0 opinion written by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, the court ruled that the NRA's claims could move forward. The justices made clear that the government cannot use its regulatory power to punish or suppress speech indirectly by threatening the business partners of a disfavored group. Importantly, the decision did not determine whether Vullo was actually guilty of violating the First Amendment. Instead, it affirmed a crucial principle: the Constitution protects against government efforts to chill speech, even when those efforts are subtle or indirect. The Supreme Court's message was clear: government officials cannot do indirectly what the Constitution forbids them from doing directly. In other words, they cannot use their influence to censor speech, no matter how controversial or unpopular that speech may be. The Supreme Court's decision in NRA versus Vullo stands as a powerful affirmation of free speech rights in America, marking a pivotal moment in the ongoing struggle to protect open expression from government overreach. This ruling doesn't just protect the right to speak, it safeguards all Americans from the more subtle forms of government censorship that can chill speech and stifle dissent. The court made it clear that the First Amendment is not only a shield against direct bans or laws restricting speech, but also a barrier against intimidation, coercion, or pressure from government officials who might try to silence voices they disagree with. This precedent is crucial for every advocacy group, no matter their mission or beliefs, because it ensures that the government cannot pick winners and losers in the marketplace of ideas. In today's world, where government and private sectors are increasingly intertwined, the decision is more relevant than ever, as it addresses the complex ways officials might try to influence speech through indirect means. If government officials threaten businesses or financial institutions to cut ties with controversial groups, those groups now have a clear legal tool to defend their rights and push back against unfair targeting. Notably, the ruling was authored by a liberal justice, underscoring that the protection of free expression transcends political divides and is unprobable and one. Then the Central Center that now protects the NRA could just as easily protect any group, whether they are on the left, right, or center of the political spectrum, ensuring fairness for all. Ultimately, the court's strong and unified stance reinforces the foundation of American democracy by guaranteeing that robust public debate and the free exchange of ideas remain protected for generations to come. Another unanimous decision came in Smith & Wesson brands versus Mexico. Mexico sued U.S. gunmakers, blaming them for gun violence fueled by illegal trafficking. The case challenged the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, PLCAA, which shields gunmakers from liability for crimes committed with their products. Mexico argued the company's practices encouraged trafficking and sought billions in damages. The Supreme Court, in an opinion by Justice Kagan, sided with the gun manufacturers. The justices ruled PLCAA's protections apply even to lawsuits from foreign governments. Mexico's claims didn't fit the law's narrow exceptions, so the suit couldn't proceed. The decision reinforced that Congress, not courts, sets the rules for lawful industries. The Smith & Wesson decision marks a pivotal moment for the firearms industry, providing gunmakers with much-needed legal certainty in a landscape often clouded by controversy and debate. Under this ruling, manufacturers are not held liable for crimes committed by others, as long as they operate within the boundaries of the law. This means that if a legally sold firearm is later used in a crime, the company that made it cannot automatically be blamed or sued for that act. Such stability is essential for any industry, but especially for one as scrutinized as gun manufacturing. Without it, companies could face a flood of lawsuits for actions beyond their control, potentially threatening jobs, innovation, and the very existence of lawful businesses. The decision reinforces a fundamental legal principle: responsibility for a crime rests with the individual who commits it, not with those who made or sold a legal product. Importantly, this ruling does not grant gunmakers blanket immunity from all lawsuits. If a manufacturer breaks the law, acts negligently, or knowingly sells to someone prohibited from owning a gun, they can still be held accountable in court. The law draws a clear line between lawful conduct and wrongdoing. The Supreme Court's strong consensus, with even a liberal justice authoring the opinion, highlights that this case was about upholding legal clarity and the rule of law, rather than advancing a particular political ideology. By affirming this principle, the court ensures that debates over gun policy and regulation remain in the hands of Congress, where elected representatives can weigh the interests and values of the American people. The decision also underscores the importance of courts applying the law as it is written, rather than reinterpreting statutes to fit changing public opinion or political pressure. Ultimately, the ruling protects lawful industries from unfair legal attacks, while preserving the ability to hold bad actors accountable, striking a careful balance between industry stability and public safety. In Catholic Charities Bureau versus Wisconsin, the court tackled religious freedom and employment law. Wisconsin denied a religious exemption to Catholic Charities, claiming its humanitarian work wasn't religious enough. Catholic Charities argued their service is an expression of faith, and the state shouldn't judge what counts as religious. The Supreme Court, in a unanimous opinion by Justice Sotomayor, agreed. The court ruled it's unconstitutional for government to second-guess a religious group's mission. This protects faith-based organizations from intrusive government scrutiny. Religious groups can serve their communities without fear of losing legal protections. The decision affirms that religious freedom includes the right to define one's own mission. The court also clarified workplace fairness in Ames versus Ohio Department of Youth Services. A white employee claimed he was passed over for promotion due to his race, but lower courts required extra evidence for reverse discrimination claims. This created unequal standards. Minority plaintiffs had an easier path than majority plaintiffs. The Supreme Court, in a unanimous opinion by Justice Jackson, rejected this two-tiered system. The court ruled all employees, regardless of race, have the same right to sue and the same legal standard. The confusing background circumstances test was eliminated. The law is colorblind. Everyone gets equal protection and access to the courts. This decision ensures fairness and clarity in workplace discrimination cases. These 9-0 decisions show the Supreme Court's ability to rise above politics and reinforce core American principles. Unanimous rulings on free speech, religious liberty, and equal protection provide clear guidance and stability. They impact daily life, protecting speech, religious service, lawful industries, and workplace fairness. Consensus strengthens public trust in the judiciary, especially in polarized times. When justices from across the spectrum agree, it sends a message of principled, nonpartisan justice. These decisions aren't about left or right, they reaffirm the rules that let a diverse society function. They remind us that freedom, equality, and the rule of law are universal promises. The Supreme Court's unified voice anchors the liberties that define America for generations to come.